We expect 33,000 casualties in Metro Manila and around 48,000 kung if we include other areas, other provinces around Metro Manila. And maraming buildings po tayo na pwedeng mag-collapse. We have 38% of mid-rise buildings and 30% of 30 to 35% of public buildings and around 14% of high-rise buildings would experience light to heavy damage. So basically ano yan, magbabago yung skyline natin. Maraming mga buildings na masisira.
Isinasagawa po ngayon sa ating bansa itong Asia Pacific Ministerial Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction. At kahapon ay during that conference muli pong nabuksan yung issue patungkol nga sa possibility na pagtama ng the big one dito po, lalo na dito sa Metro Manila, and possible daw na aabot sa more or less 47,000 ang casualties na nakikita batay po sa pag-aaral. Para balikan lang natin, Director, itong sa The Big One. Ano pong fault line ang maaring gumalaw kaugnay nga dito sa The Big One?
Okay, so yung West Valley Fault, ito yung pwedeng maging source ng magnitude 7.2. It's 100 kilometers long from Bulacan up to Cavite. So, yun yung pwedeng maging source ng tinatawag natin na the big one. Although yung big one, the term big one is a misnomer kasi may malaki pang faults, may mga earthquake, may mga faults pa na capable of generating earthquakes bigger than magnitude 7.2. So, siguro the big one lang na it was termed as the big one kasi it transects Metro Manila, and Metro Manila is the economic hub and political hub of the Philippines, and malaki yung impact kapag nagkaroon ng magnitude 7.2 earthquake along Metro Manila.
Sa kasaysayan po ba, Director, kailan po ba yung parang pinakahuling major na paggalaw nitong West Valley Fault?
The last time it moved was in 1658, and based sa pag-aaral namin, yung recurrence interval would be between 400 to 600 years. So nag-move yan between 400 to 600 years. So if the last time move was 1658, if you consider the lower limit, which is 400 years, that would be 2058. Of course, hindi naman exact yan na by 2058 magkakaroon ng the big one. Or it could be earlier, or it could be later, or it could be nasa 600-year limit, which is 200 years from now. So we have to prepare kasi almost nasa range na tayo of the big one.
Mm-hmm. Sa mga fault line po dito sa bansa, ito po bang West Valley Fault yung kumbaga parang hindi gaanong aktibo in terms of yung mga major na paglindol? Kasi halimbawa dyan sa bandang Mindanao, no? Dyan sa area ng Mati, sa Davao Oriental, mayat maya merong mga paglilindol dyan sa Surigao, mayat maya merong mga pagyayanig. Pero dito sa West Valley Fault, bihira lang tayong makarinig na merong mga major or mga paggalaw po. Tama po ba, Director?
Yes, tama po kayo, and that heightens the risk kasi po we know that it's active pero walang paggalaw, so it means that it's storing up energy for a big release. So parang tao din yan, yung tao hindi nagsasalita. Kapag nagalit yan, medyo total mayhem. Bloody siguro yan kaysa tao nagsasalita na salita. You can say na hanggang salita lang naman yan. It's the same thing with faults. So yung fault, if it's active and mag-create siya ng lindol from time to time, maliliit na lindol, it means that it's releasing energy. Hindi siya makapag-ipon ng lakas para makapag-generate ng high magnitude earthquake, large magnitude earthquake. But in contrast, yung isang active fault na wala tayong lindol, kahit maliliit na lindol na na-record, ibig sabihin, it's storing up energy for a big release.
Mm-hmm. Pero itong West Valley Fault, na-trace na po ba natin yung fault na ito sa kabuuan? And meron na po bang mga rekomendasyon na never na talaga na magkaroon pa ng mga struktura or kailangan na ba na i-condemn yung mga nandito mismo, na nasa ibabaw mismo yung mga struktura, Director?
Okay, yes, so meron na tayong mapa dyan, and in fact, this is available to the public. Yung sa mga nakikinig sa atin, they just have to consult yung Hazard Hunter PH. Malalaman nila kung ano yung trace ng fault and ano yung mga buildings transected, kung bahay ba nila is transected by the fault. Now, kung yung may recommendation kami na dapat wala ng structure on top of an active fault and may buffer zone tayo which is 5 meters on both sides of the fault. Now, yung mga ibang bahay or ibang buildings already located on top of the West Valley Fault, nasa LGU po yan. For example, in Muntinlupa, in 1998, nag-pass po sila ng ordinance saying na magbibigay sila ng tax relief and other incentives para lang umalis yung mga nakatira doon sa bahay na transected by an active fault. Yung iba naman sa like Quezon City and yung Pasig actively sila, and other LGUs in Metro Manila actively nagpo-promote, nagkakonduct ng information dissemination campaign sa mga residents transected by the West Valley Fault.
Pero yung mga gusali mismo, kasi halimbawa po, Doc, dito po sa kapitbahay lang namin, dito sa Makati, sa Guadalupe, itong dating gusali ng MMDA, may marka po dito na West Valley Fault. And ang nakapaligid dito, hindi lang residential area to, halos katabi lang din ito ng BGC, na marami rin na mga gusali. Yung mga ganong gusali po, ano po kaya ang magiging ano niyan? Kung nasa ibabaw na siya malapit sa fault, Director?
Well, as long as it's not on top of an active fault, again, yung recommendation natin is 5 meters. As long as the building is not on top of an active fault and it's located doon away from the fault, which again, yung 5 meters natin, safe siya. Pero ibang usapan na yan if the building is on top of an active fault kasi wala po tayong engineering intervention yan. So again, it's within the LGU to inform kung mga residente or kung yung mga building owners on the risk na meron if they continue to stay on top or if they continue to reside, for example, on their houses na constructed on top of an active fault.
Yung mismong fault line po, West Valley Fault, hagip lahat ng syudad dito sa Metro Manila?
Hindi naman lahat ng syudad. So for example, sa Manila, wala tayong West Valley Fault dyan. Okay, so meron sa, again, i-trace lang natin yung West Valley Fault, Bulacan, ito yung sa Doña Remedios, Trinidad, Norsaragay, San Del Monte, and then it goes to Rizal, and then Quezon City, Marikina City, Pasig City, Taguig City, and Muntinlupa. Now, then afterwards, it goes to Laguna, sa may San Pedro, Binian, Santa Rosa, Cabuyao, and Calamba. And then Cavite, sa Carmona, General Mariano Alvarez, at saka sa Silang. So, yung Makati hindi nakasama rito kasi yung may mga barangays previously na transected by the West Valley Fault, na part ng Makati, ngayon ay nalipat sa Taguig.
Pero hindi po ibig sabihin na wala doon yung fault, kumbaga ligtas na sila sa epekto ng lindol, Director.
That's right. Ito yung isa din sa gusto nating baguhin. Hindi ibig sabihin dahil malayo ka sa fault, ligtas ka na. Ang Metro Manila would experience intensity 8 shaking. So you have to make sure na ang building mo would be able to withstand an intensity 8 shaking. Again, may app tayo dyan. How safe is my house up? May 12 questions yan. They can answer those questions and then they would know if their houses are earthquake resilient or not. Noong 1968, may earthquake sa Kasiguran. That's 300. Kasiguran is in Aurora. And that's 300 kilometers away from Metro Manila. And yet, during that event, yung Ruby Tower in Binondo collapsed and around 270 people died. So, hindi ibig sabihin dahil malayo tayo sa fault ay safe na po tayo. Katulad nung sinabi ko, yung Binondo, yung Ruby Tower in 1968 collapsed and yet the earthquake the epicenter was 300 kilometers away.
Yung building code po natin, kung nasusunod ito ng mga structures dito sa Metro Manila, kumbaga lahat ng mga standards na nakapaloob sa building code po natin, kaya ba nitong nababanggit niyo po na hanggang intensity 8 na lakas na lindol?
Yes, in principle, if the building code ay finalo ng ating mga kababayan, yung mga houses and buildings should be able to withstand an intensity 8 earthquake. So again, yung bottom line is that we should make sure now we follow the minimum engineering standards na nakalagay sa ating building code. Yung mga high-rise buildings naman constructed after 2000 are more or less earthquake resilient kasi it was in 2000 na yung mga engineers natin, they already take into account yung presence ng mga active faults natin. And they already incorporated this in their building design.
So kumbaga yung mga lumang na itayo na ng mga gusali, ang advice po talaga magbago na sila, retrofit kasi naamyendahan na itong itong building
tama
code.
Tayo. I-retrofit and i-reinforce dapat yung mga lumang bahay. They have to consult structural engineers kung wala silang. Yung mga local engineers naman natin, yung city engineering office or municipal engineering office, nag-provide naman yan ng free advice. And kung sa tingin nila that kailangan i-retrofit yung building, then they have to.
Opo. Kung sakaling tatama po itong The Big One, Director, possible po ba na mabago yung features ng Metro Manila?
Yes, again, we expect 33,000 casualties in Metro Manila and around 48,000 kung if you include other areas, other provinces around Metro Manila. And maraming buildings po tayo na pwedeng mag-collapse. We have 38% of mid-rise buildings and 30% of 30 to 35% of public buildings and around 14% of high-rise buildings would experience slight to heavy damage. So, magbabago yung skyline natin. Maraming mga buildings na masisira.
Halimbawa po, yung parang magkakahiwalay po ba? Magkakaroon po ba ng mga pagbabago sa features? Magkakaroon ba ng bagong ilog? Yung mga ganun na mga maaring mangyari po. Kasi alam natin, yung mga bundok, sinasabi nila na galing din yan sa maraming mga earthquake. Kaya nabuo po yung mga ganyan po. At Director.
Hindi naman siguro ganun kasi yung tama po kayo, yung mga bundok natin na galing po yan sa mga lindol. But it would probably take thousands of earthquakes para ganun kataas. Kasi for example, North Bohol earthquake in 2013, yung height natin is around, yung maximum vertical displacement ay umabot ng mga 2 meters. So for you to be able to push the land upwards several hundreds of meters, that would take several earthquakes. Pero dito sa Metro Manila, kapag nangyari yung magnitude 7.2, pwedeng makahiwa-hiwalay. In fact, ang Metro Manila would be separated into 4 sectors, and may mga yung north, south, and east and west. And if that happens, may mga naka-assign na po ng mga regions na dapat tutulong sa Metro Manila. Kasi mahati siya, may mga bridges na magko-collapse and maging accessible yung ibang areas.
And itong West Valley Fault, kumbaga wala naman itong magiging kung sakaling magkakaroon ng pagyanig, walang tsunami considering nasa kalupaan. Pero meron po bang fault na nasa malapit dito sa karagatan, malapit sa Metro Manila na maaari mag-cause ng tsunami naman po, Director?
Yes, meron tayo. Itong West Valley Fault, it may not generate tsunami, but we have Manila Trench. And yung Manila Trench is capable of generating a magnitude 8.3 earthquake. And when that happens, pwedeng magkaroon ng tsunami, aabot ng 3.5 meters kapag low tide, and madagdagan niya ng 2 meters if it happens during high tide. So naging 5.5 meters. And pwedeng bahain yung large parts of Metro Manila, aabot yung flood waters to around 2.7 kilometers inland. And expected natin na mga structures exposed to tsunamis would be around 300,000.
Mhm. And kailan po yung huli niyang ano, sir? Kung nagkaroon man sa kasaysayan ng tsunami?
Meron tayo noong 1800s, the last time nagkaroon ng tsunami sa malaking tsunami sa Metro Manila, sa Manila Trench.
Ayan, siguro, Doc, huling mensahe po ninyo at paalala sa ating mga kababayang nakikinig na nanonood po sa mga oras na ito.
Yung lindol naman ay hindi po yan nakakamatay. Again, it's the collapse of man-made structures that may claim lives. So we have to make sure that we follow the minimum standards, yung sa building code natin. We follow the building code. Huwag po tayong mag-cut corners para po yan sa ating kaligtasan.